Welcome back, students. Hope you are safe and healthy at home. Dear students, today we shall take up one of the important topics, that is the sermon at Benares. The author of this lesson is Betty Renstow. Dear students, before we proceed to the lesson, let me give an introduction to the lesson. The sermon at Benares is first sermon preached by Buddha after becoming enlightened. It is the translation of his original sermon. The sermon reflects Buddha's wisdom on one of the most difficult subjects, the death. It tells that death is certain for all. One who is born must die one day. No lamentation can bring him back. So, those who overcome sorrow and become composed can get peace of mind. So, this is the essence of this lesson, the sermon at Benares. The students, let me read this first slide for you. Follow my reading. Gautama Buddha began life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautama in North India. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures, holy books, and 4 years later, he returned home to marry a princess. They had a son and lived for 10 years as befitted was proper royalty related to kings. At about the age of 25, the prince, heretofore, means before this point, shielded, means saved from the sufferings of the world, while out hunting, chanced upon, means by chance, a sick man, then an aged man, then a funeral procession, the procession of a dead man taken to the burial ground, and finally a monk, means a hermit, begging for alms, begging. These sights so moved, means shook him, that he at once became a beggar and went out into the world to seek enlightenment, a state of high spiritual knowledge concerning the sorrows he had witnessed. So, the students, up to the age of 25 years, so here Prince Siddhartha was not familiar with the sorrow, because so far he was shielded from suffering. He was shielded, safeguarded. He was not exposed to suffering. He had his first introduction with sorrow and suffering when he went out for what? Hunting. When he went out for hunting one day at the age of 25. So, at the age of 25, he had this experience, he had this exposure to all these sufferings. Sufferings of the aged man. You can see here a funeral procession. You can see over here, and monk begging for alms, and all these things shook him because he was not exposed to all these worldly sufferings. So, what sort of sorrow and suffering did he see? He saw a sick man an old man, a funeral procession, and a monk begging alms. So, all these things disturbed him. So, these sights means what here? These sights so moved means here referred to the the scenes of sorrow and suffering of a sick man, an old man, funeral procession, and a monk begging for alms. All these things shook him. So, sitting under the fig tree, what did he vow? He vowed not to leave the place till he got enlightenment. So, the word enlightenment here, the word enlightenment means a state marked by absence of desire or suffering. So, a state of high spiritual knowledge, the meaning of enlightenment. Have you understood, students? Shall we proceed? So, yeah, in the next slide, we find he wandered for 7 years and finally sat down under a fig tree where he vowed to stay until enlightenment came. Enlightened after 7 days, he renamed the tree the Bodhi tree, tree of wisdom, and began to teach and to share his new understandings. At the point, he became known as the Buddha, the awakened or the enlightened. The Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Benares, most holy of the dipping, means bathing into, places on the river Ganges. That sermon has been preserved and is given here. It reflects the Buddha's wisdom about one inscrutable, means that can't be understood, kind of suffering. Kisa Gotami had an only son and he died in her grief. She carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine. And the people said, she has lost her senses, means become mad. The boy is dead. At length, Kisa Gotami met a man who replied to her request. I cannot give thee medicine for thy child, but I know a physician who can. And the girl said, pray tell me, sir, who is it? And the man replied, go to Salyamuni, the Buddha. So he said, I cannot give thee, means give you, the old English, medicine for thy child, for your child, but I know a physician who can. So, the student, here we find that why do you think Buddha renamed the fig tree at Bodhi? Because it was it was under this tree that he got enlightenment. So, after enlightened after 7 days, he renamed the tree because it was under this tree he got enlightenment. So, when did people start knowing him by the name of Buddha? When he started teaching and sharing his new understanding. So, when he began teaching and sharing his new understanding, the people start knowing him by the name of Buddha. So, the noun form of teach is teacher. What is the noun form of teach? Means teacher. So, yeah. Next, what did he vow? That's important. What did he vow? He vowed that he will not get up until he gets the wisdom. So, he vowed to stay under the fig tree till he was enlightened. So, Gautama Buddha's first encounter with suffering was when he went out for hunting. So, yeah, he renounced the worldly comforts and left home to seek enlightenment from these sorrows. So, here glanced the given lines means looked at. What is the meaning of glance? Look at. And further we see, after wandering for 7 years, he renamed the tree, and after finally he meditated under a fig tree, enlightened, enlightened. After 7 days, he renamed the tree as the Bodhi tree. It was the tree of wisdom and became known as the Buddha, means the awakened or the enlightened. What is the meaning of Buddha? The awakened or the enlightened. And the Buddha preached his first sermon where? At the city of Benares, the holy city on the Ganges. So further, you find to see an incident is narrated by Lord Buddha. So here, Kisa Gotami's only son had died. So she was deeply grieved. She carried her dead son to all her neighbors. Why? Asking for medicine. Asking them for medicine. So she asked them for medicine. The people thought that she had lost her sense, means she had become mad. And at last a man advised. What he advised? He advised her to go to Sakyamuni. Was Sakyamuni? The Lord Buddha. So he went, he asked her to go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha. Next, Kisa Gotami repaired, means went to the Buddha and cried, Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy. The Buddha answered, I want a handful of mustard seed. When the girl in a joy promised to procure, means acquire it, the Buddha added, the mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or a friend. Poor Kisa Gotami now went from house to house, and the people pitied her and said, here is mustard seed, take it. But when she asked, did a son or daughter, a father or mother die in your family? They answered her, alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. So, dear students, what we observe here, Kisa Gotami repaired, means went to the Buddha and cried. So, Buddha was not a doctor. Still, the man sent Kisa Gotami to him. Why? Because he realized that Kisa had lost the senses due to grief. You can see her begging, requesting Lord Buddha to return or to make her son alive. So here he realized that Kisa had lost her senses due to grief. Buddha, who was a wise man and a spiritual physician, could cure her. So he directed her to go to Lord Buddha. So what did Kisa ask from Buddha? So she asked medicine to cure, medicine that will cure her son. So what did Buddha ask her to bring? A hand. So handful of what? Mustard seed. So he asked her to bring a handful of mustard. So the word repaired. Repaired means what? Went to. Gotami went to the Buddha. So further, we find to see that the students here, Kisa Gotami was so happy to go and bring a handful of mustard seed. But there was a twist. The Buddha asked her to bring a handful of mustard seeds from a house where no one had lost a, a child, husband, then who else? Parent or friend. So, no one should have lost their dear and near ones. So, from that house, so from such kind of house, she is expected or she was asked to bring handful of mustard seed. So there was no problem in getting a handful of mustard seeds, but she could not find a house where no one had died. So, see, even they tell, why do you remind us? So the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. That it shows that almost all people had lost either father, mother, or any one of among their dear and near ones. So she could not get a handful of mustard seed because she could not find a family where no one had not died. Kisa Gotami became weary, tired, and hopeless, and sat down at the wayside, watching the lights of the city as they flickered up, shone or burned unsteadily, and were extinguished again. At last, the darkness of the night rain dominated everywhere, and she considered the fate of men, that their lives flicker up and are extinguished again. And she thought to herself, how selfish am I in my grief? Death is common to all. Yet, in this valley of desolation, is an area which is filled with deep sorrow. There is a path that leads him to immortality, a state in which one never dies, who has surrendered all selfishness. The Buddha said, the life of mortals, those bound to die in this world, is troubled and grief and brief and combined with pain. For there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. After reaching old age, there is death. Of such a nature are living beings. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals, when born, are always in danger of death. As all earthen vessels, means mud pots made by the potter, end in being broken, so is the life of mortals, both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise, all fall into the power of death. All are subject to death. So, dear students, message here we understand the message given by Lord Buddha, and also we find the the realization of Kisa Gotami. So Rita Kisa Gotami got tired and desperate because she could not get the mustard seed to save her son, as there was no house where some beloved had not died. So she was physically and mentally tired. So the message she got from the flickering up and extinguishing of city lights was that their lives flicker up and are extinguished again. So at last the darkness of the night reigned. So she understood life flicker up and are extinguished again. So the adverb form of watching. What is the adverb form of watching? Watchfully. So next, the second stanza, uh, again she understands that how selfish am I in my grief. Death is common to all. In this valley of desolation, an area which is filled with deep sorrow. So she understands that Kisa called herself selfish because she was sad only for herself. How selfish am I? So she realized that how selfish she was, and She was sad only for herself when others had also suffered the loss of their beloved ones, for death is common. So you can remember Lord Buddha wanted her to realize that death is not only, oh, people are not dying only in her family, but death is common to all. Because all men who are born are mortals, that we are going to study in the next stanza. So according to Buddha, a person can become immortal if he surrenders all selfishness. So valley of desolation here implies an area of deep sorrow. The noun form of leads is leader. So what is the noun form of leads? Leader. So the students, moving further to a second paragraph, we find here, how is life of man in this world? So it is short. So life of man is very short here and full of difficulties and troubles. So what is common between a ripe fruit and a man when born? What is common? It is both have to end their lives. The fruit falls and the man dies. So as ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals when born are always in danger of death. So why is life of man compared with an earthen vessel? Why, dear students? Because both meet a similar end. Ripe fruit and earthen pot both meet a similar end. The pot breaks, the body of man also fails, means breaks. So danger of death. So mortals, we are all mortals. We are also in danger of death. So also earthen pots. So the noun form of combine. What is the noun form of combine? Yeah, combination. So noun form of combined here is combination. So further we see, what did the Buddha say about the life of the people? It's very important. The life of people is trouble. So the life of people, the life of mortals, means people who are bound to die. This world is troubled and brief and combined with the sorrow. So what does a ripe fruit fear? It fears there is death, and there is the life of the ripe fruit fears the danger of falling. And further we see what happens after reaching age. It there is death. So there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. Have you understood, students? So we move on. Of those who overcome by death depart from life, a father cannot save his son, nor kinsmen, means relatives, their relations, mark. While relatives are looking on and lamenting, means expression of sorrow, deeply, one by one mortals are carried off, like an ox that is led to the slaughter, killings. So the world is afflicted with, means affected by suffering or pain. So the world is afflicted with death and decay, decline. Therefore, the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world. Not from weeping nor from grieving will anyone obtain peace of mind. On the contrary, his pain will be the greater and his body will suffer. He will make himself sick and pale, yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. He who seeks peace should draw out the arrow of lamentation, and complaint and grief. He who has drawn out the arrow and has become composed, means calm, will obtain peace of mind. He who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. So the students here, of those who overcome by death, those who overcome by death depart from life. A father cannot save his son. So this world is afflicted with death and decay. So death, decay means decline. The wise don't grieve. So the wise people don't grieve. And we also find the weeping and grieving will not help. The dead are not saved by lamentation. So not from weeping. So the dead, the weeping and grieving will not help. The dead are not saved by lamentation. So for we find to see that he who seeks peace of mind, he who seeks means searches peace of mind, he should draw out the air of lamentation. And further we find, dear students, that lamentation is compared with what? An arrow that pierces the hearts of others. So the arrow, the lamentation, the arrow that pierces the hearts of the hearts of the others. So one can get peace of mind by, so the arrow of lamentation, and one can get peace of mind. How? By taking out the arrow of lamentation, complaint, and grief. This is the message. Taking out the complaint and grief. So, he who seeks peace should draw out the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. And further, one can be free from sorrow if he overcomes grief. So, if he overcomes grief, you has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. Next, we find that the word, the lamentation, means what? To express sorrow demonstratively. So, who is the speaker here? Gautama Buddha is the speaker. So, what should one do to be blessed? That is important. What should one do to be blessed? To be blessed, one should overcome grief. One should overcome grief. And also, one should overcome grief and become composed. Calm. One should become calm, not worried. So, next, should not complain or grieve over suffering. So, sufferings are part of mortal beings. So, Gautama Buddha very clearly tells us that if the life of man is mixture of joys and sorrow. So, he will make himself sick and pale. So, the man, one who wants only pleasure, he will make himself sick and pale. So, further we find that the dead are not saved by lamentation. He who seeks peace must be free from lamentation and complaint and grief. He who has overcome all sorrows will be free from what? Will be free from sorrows. He will be blessed. Finally, he will be blessed. So, dear students, a great message given by Lord Buddha. In this chapter, we also need to imbibe the qualities and also the message given by the great teacher, the Lord Buddha, one who was enlightened and one who obtained wisdom from his great contemplation. We also need to infer and try to incorporate the message given by his realization, his contemplation and meditation. So, students, before we wind up this chapter, let us recall what we discussed in this chapter. So, this story, this is the story of Gautama Buddha and a woman named Kisa Gotami. So, yeah, Gautam Buddha is born into royalty and lives the first 25 years as such. However, when he is exposed to human suffering, he leaves all his worldly duties and looks for enlightenment. So he attains it under a peepal tree. He gives his first sermon to share his understandings where? At Benares. So in his sermon, he tells about a woman whose son dies. She goes from house to house, asking for what? Asking for a medicine to save him, but is sent away by all, as her son is in search of, as her son is already dead. So one person guides her to Buddha, saying that he will resolve her problem. So Buddha sends her in search of mustard seeds from a house where there never has been a death. She goes from a house to house and realizes that everyone has lost a loved one sometime or the other. Thus, she understands the secret of life and death. All mortals have to meet their death, whether they are rich or poor, wise or foolish, young or old. So, the earlier one accepts it, the earlier one finds peace. So, such a great teachings of Lord Buddha, dear students. Today we shall also try to incorporate the great teachings of Lord Buddha in our life. And as he says, the earlier one accepts it, the earlier one finds peace. So, dear students, here we end this chapter. If you have any doubt, please don't hesitate to clarify it during our discussion class. Thank you.